Hello everyone, I'm Basavaraj Tallur, Assistant Professor of English, Government First Grade College, Dharwad. Today, I will be discussing about the barriers to communication in this video. Lord Buddha has given very much importance to communication. He says that many of the problems in life arise out of our miscommunication. So, in his own words, he says, whatever words we utter should be chosen with care, for people will hear them and be influenced by them for good or ill. So according to him, communication is very important part in developing the relationships with others in the society. So what is communication then? Communication is nothing but it is a process of transmitting information. If the information as it is present in the mind of the transmitter is transmitted unchanged into the mind of the receiver, we say that a perfect act of communication has taken place. So whatever the person has in his mind, if he is able to convey it perfectly to the other person, the next person, then perfect communication has taken place. That is what is meant by communication. However, in our lives, we have seen that many times miscommunication takes place. Miscommunication can originate at three levels: at the level of the transmitter, of the medium, or of the receiver. At any stage, it can take place. In technical terms, anything that obstructs free flow of communication is called, basically, it is called a noise, or we may refer to it simply as a barrier to communication. So in this video, we are going to study the different barriers of communication. So this is what we have already learned in communication. Communication system runs in these three distinct ways. First, there is a transmitter who conveys everything through a medium to the receiver. So transmitter is a person where the signal originates, and the receiver is a person who receives the transmitted signal through medium. Then the medium is very important. Again, it guides the signal from the transmitter to the receiver. Now, types of barriers. The first barrier, we have divided the barriers into three types. And the first barrier is physical barriers. Second one is semantic barriers or language barriers. Third one is socio-psychological barriers. Now, we shall discuss all these three barriers one by one. The first barrier is physical barrier, and one of the major physical barrier in today's world is the barrier of noise pollution, which is commonly called. Noise is quite often a barrier to communication. In factories, oral communication is rendered difficult by the loud noise of machines and electronic devices. As we can see in this PPT, the electronic noise like blaring often interferes in communication by telephone or loudspeaker system. The word noise is also used to refer to all kinds of physical interference like illegible handwriting, smudged copies of duplicate transcript, poor telephone connections, etc., etc. So here I have given different kinds of noise which we see in modern life. Almost the whole earth is disturbed by this noise pollution. This is the first physical barrier. The next one, very important again, is that of time and distance. So these are two major things now. People in the modern world don't have time. That is again a barrier in communication. Though we want to speak to our neighbors, though we want to speak to our friends, our colleagues, we don't have enough time to speak. That's why we say many a times we say that I wanted to speak to you from the past 15 days, but I was so busy that I couldn't make a call, phone call. So that's what the modern age is facing nowadays. Time and distance, in a way, are also barriers to the smooth flow of communication. The use of telephone along with computer technology has made communication very fast and has to a large extent overcome the space barrier. However, sometimes mechanical breakdowns render these facilities ineffective. In such cases, the distance between the transmitter and the receiver becomes a mighty barrier. Some factories run in shifts. There is a kind of communication gap between persons working in different shifts. So, faulty seating arrangements in a room also can become a barrier to effective communication. So, these barriers need just a little care to overcome. So, in the PPT, we can see that people are so busy. That person in the PPT says, I'm too busy to tell people how busy I am. So he is so busy that even he is unable to tell people that he is busy. And a woman in the PPT, in the picture, she is so busy with so many works, and she has, it seems, 8 to 10 hands to perform all those acts which she is supposed to do throughout the day. So these are some of the physical barriers. Now coming to the semantic barrier, the next one. Uh, Semantic means language. Language is a kind of barrier, especially when it comes to English. It is definitely a barrier. Miscommunication of meanings uh, take place due to problems in language. So we have to choose words very cautiously before we speak. That is what Lord Buddha has told us. Now, the first semantic barrier is interpretation of words. There are some words in English, maybe in other languages also, which are called homonyms. Homonyms are the words which have different meanings. The same word can denote two or more than two meanings. Uh, Most of the communication, as you know, is carried on through words, whether spoken or written. But words are capable of communicating a variety of meanings. It is quite possible that the receiver of a message does not assign the same meaning to a word as the transmitter had intended. This may lead to miscommunication. For example, I have to mention a word called run, R-U-N. According to the dictionary, this little word run, R-U-N, has 71 meanings as verb, as noun, and as adjective. So this word occurs in a message. If you use this word run, then definitely the other person is going to be confused. Likewise, I have given small day-to-day words which are used like bat, seal, palm, ring, fly, etc. They whatever the transmitter says may be misunderstood by the receiver. So this is the first barrier, semantic barrier. So the next semantic barrier is bypassed instructions. There are some words which are spoken alike but have different meanings. For example, which and which. So bypassing is said to have occurred in the sender and the receiver of the message attribute different meanings to the same word or use different words for the same meaning. Now, I have given some example. I saw bats. Bat means a cricket bat, or it may mean the bird also. Hi means hello, or hi means HIGH. means the high, another one. So these are the semantic barriers, common semantic barriers. Now coming to the last kind of barrier, the socio-psychological barriers. The first psychosociological barrier are many actually. I have chosen 3 or 4 we will be discussing in this video. The first one is attitudes and opinions. Personal attitudes and opinions often act as a barrier to effective communication. If an information agrees with our opinions and attitudes, we tend to receive it favorably. If it fits comfortably in the filter of your mind, then it's okay. But if an information disagrees with our views or tends to run contrary to our accepted beliefs, we do not react favorably. If a change in the policy of an organization proves advantageous to an employee, he welcomes it as good. If it affects him adversely, he rejects it as the whim of the dictator. So these are the first barriers, our psychological barrier. We tend to agree with only those things which are beneficial to us. So the next barrier is emotions. Emotional states of mind play very important role in the act of communication. If the sender is perplexed, worried, excited, afraid, nervous, his thinking will be blurred and he will not be able to organize his message properly. So these are on the screen, you can see the types of basic emotions. There is happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, surprise, everything. The same person is happy as well as sad sometimes. And he changes according to the situation. His mental acts change according to the situation. The state of his mind is sure to be reflected in his message. It is a matter of common observation that people caught in a moment of fury succeed only in violent gesticulation. If they try to speak, they falter and keep on repeating the same words. In the same way, the emotions of the receiver also affect the communications process. If the receiver is angry, he will not take the message in the proper light. So this emotion is very important barrier. Likewise, the emotion of both the transmitter and the receiver are important in the act of communication. The next one is again very important, that is of closed mind. Many a times we have certain concepts about a person or a thing. Now, if we agree that a person is good, whatever he speaks, we take it as good. Otherwise, we won't take it. A person with a closed mind is very difficult to communicate with. He is a man with deeply ingrained prejudices, and he is not prepared to reconsider his opinions. He is a kind of man who will say, look, my mind is made up. I know what I know, and I do not want to know anything else. So just don't bother me. This is what he tells us. He keeps on telling us that he should not be disturbed. He has something in his mind already, and he is not ready to accept anything which is told by others. Whether it is right or wrong, he doesn't know. He doesn't want also. So if you approach such a man with a new proposal to improve his business or his understanding, his knowledge, he will immediately retort to it and he will say, look here, gentlemen, do you presume that you know my business better than I know? I have been in this field for the last 20 years. What can you teach me? This is what he says. Such a person is not open to conviction and persuasion. And in all likelihood, he has not learned anything in the 20 years he has been into that field. So A closed mind is very dangerous mind. The next one is inattentiveness. Inattentiveness can be seen in an office, like in the picture, in a meeting, one of the employees is inattentive. And in the classroom, especially in the classroom, we see the last bench students are inattentive towards the teacher. They don't bother what the teacher is telling or teaching. Likewise, in the modern days, inattentiveness of the parents. In the last picture, you can see that a parent is inattentive towards the children, kid. So that is another socio-psychological barrier. People often become inattentive while receiving a message. In particular, if the message contains a new idea, they don't want new ideas. The adult human mind usually resists change, for change makes things uncertain. It also threatens security and stability. So the moment a new idea is presented to them, they unconsciously become inattentive. So this is a common kind of socio-psychological barrier. So I have tried my best to give you an idea uh, about the barriers to communication. These are the important barriers. I have not taken all the barriers. There are so many other barriers, and the ways to overcome, I have not discussed the ways to overcome and the right thing to communicate, that we shall discuss in the next video. Thank you for your attention. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next video. Thank you. Thank you very much.